saying, look, I'll fight you. He's done a few moves on the bag as well, and that's a couple of body shots. Big John Fury, the fighting man, hasn't got any fight in him, so he's just saying, I don't want to fight anybody, I'm not giving anybody a payday. But it wasn't long after that.
Last 20, last 20.
Yes!
10 to go, 10 to go. Time!
2.5 mil, I'm looking at the cameras, 2.5 million sterling, SAP. I don't want to talk to you, I don't want to look at you, I don't like you.
His mouth, like a big idiot, and calling me out, saying he wants to fight me. So the opportunity's been put in front of him. I think it was 7 figures, it was well over £1 million with an upside. And he's now said, oh, I want £2.5 million. He wants more than what he...
John Fury is once again firing warnings at Carl Froch, trying to push the same tough talk and pressure him into backing down. But this time Carl Froch is not backing off at all and has responded with full confidence, basically telling John Fury to stop talking and step into the fight already.
I mean, listen, I'm not going to turn it down. I'm not going to say, no, I'm not going to fight it, because John Fury's a big bully, and big bullies need putting into place. And if I'm the man that has to do it, I will do it. I don't want to beat an old man up. I don't want to start on a 60-year-old man. But when I look back, when I beat George Groves up in front of 80,000 fans at Wembley Stadium, rendering him unconscious, he was 11 years younger than me. I'm only 10 years younger than Big John Fury. I know he doesn't look well, does he? He looks a bit older. I don't want to give him any stick, but he looks he's 10 years older than me, 60-year-old man. I'm pressing on for fight. Just leave me alone. Don't start running around like a pillow, like an idiot, making a show of yourself if you've got no intentions of fighting. Anyway, he's been offered the money. He's tried to almost double the money.
John Fury is trying to set massive money demands and acting like he can jump into a fight instantly, but Carl Froch is not impressed at all. From Froch's side, this is all talk and ego, and he is now pushing harder, saying if John Fury is serious, then stop negotiating and just step into the fight already.
I'm not an ass kisser,
yeah.
I'm a straight man. I'm a straight man.
But you're serious about it though, aren't you?
Serious. Serious. I'm a Christian man in the name of Jesus. I'm as serious as that. Don't bother about fighting me. Pay me $2.5 million, we'll fight next week. As soon as possible.
Carl Froch is clearly fed up with John Fury's demands, and is calling him out for trying to turn everything into money talk instead of actually fighting. Froch is making it clear that the offer is already there, and now it is on John Fury to accept or stop talking. The pressure is fully shifting back onto John Fury in this war of words.
Whatever figures have been offered, he's gone higher, and that's the most obvious way to not get the fight made. You price yourself out. So he's asked for too much money. I've also seen a video of him saying he wants to give 75% of it to charity. If he wants to give 75% of the money to charity, why is he worried about making $2.5 million instead of $1.5 million? Just give it to charity. If you want to fight and you're causing a scene and running your gobshite mouth in public, trying to get attention, then take the fight.
Johnny Nelson is completely shutting down John Fury's comments and calling out the constant noise around him. The message is clear, a lot of this is just talk and drama. But with Carl Froch standing firm and not backing down, the tension between both sides is only getting louder and more heated.
You're pure full of shit. And so John's calling out, his mouth's too big. He's talking things that you don't want him to say. You know, everybody's saying, come on, let's just ride this wave, don't mess.
Duke McKenzie is suggesting Carl Froch only responds when the offer makes sense, but Froch's attitude in recent clips shows something different. He is clearly irritated and pushing back hard against John Fury's excuses. The narrative is shifting because Froch is not just talking about money anymore, he is demanding action.
And then there's Froch, who's been paid to fight. He's used to getting money for knocking guys out. I'm sure if they put enough knocks in front of Carl Froch, in front of Carl Froch, then he might rise to it. But he ain't going to rise to it if there's no money on the table, if there's no end goal. If you want to punch up, you can go out in the street and have that any day.
John Fury is still speaking in aggressive fight terms and painting a very chaotic picture, but Carl Froch is not reacting to threats anymore. Instead, he is flipping the pressure back and pushing John Fury to actually prove everything inside the ring rather than continuing the verbal war.
Yeah.
He'll have a shock, and I don't do steroids.
He'll have a shock. What the fuck does pulling a pony around got to do with boxing? I'm sorry. I'm staying fit. Does he think this... Again, I love it. I want to see training videos of John pulling a pony around, or like pushing a sled with, or pulling a carriage with bales of hay.
Pain Game is giving Carl Froch massive respect here, and that says everything about his reputation in boxing circles. Froch is not just seen as a former world champion, but as a real tough guy who brings serious danger even outside the ring. And now with John Fury constantly calling him out, this kind of praise only adds more weight behind Froch's confidence. He knows what he brings, and that is why he is not backing down from this war of words.
He's a genuine, like, world champion level fighter, and he's actually bigger than you'd think, right, when you meet him. He's a lot younger than John, and his peak was outrageously good, right? And he's kept himself in shape. And even now, I remember having a chat with Eddie Hearn, like, about, like, you know, what fighter you've met is, like, the toughest fighter. And he said to me, like, if I'm ever in a bit of bother, the man I want standing next to me at a pub or whatever is called fucking Froch.
The Wade Plemines is questioning John Fury's ability to actually handle real pace against Carl Froch. The point being made is simple: confidence is one thing, but conditioning is another. And this is exactly where Carl Froch holds the advantage, because he is known for his engine and pressure style. That is why Froch is so calm in all this trash talk, because deep down he knows the physical side of this would expose the difference quickly.
This dude, I love that John is just so confident in himself. He would gas inside of 2 rounds. 2 rounds, but if he even made it 2 rounds with Carl Froch, he would gas probably in the first round. He's 60 years old. I'm not saying he couldn't hobble about for 4 rounds or something, but he would be gassed inside of 2. Because the way that John runs...
Eddie Hearn is making it clear that in a real confrontation Carl Froch does not play games and reacts fast. That is exactly why this rivalry is so intense, because both sides know the danger level is real. John Fury keeps talking pressure and confrontation, but Froch is built for those moments, and that reputation is exactly what is keeping him confident and aggressive in this entire situation.
From each other.
If John Fury stuck it on Carl Froch in his space, I think he would chin him immediately.
Really? Even live on Netflix?
Yes. Because these guys, they don't allow...
Joe Egan is talking in the same aggressive tone that surrounds this whole feud, but it actually highlights how Carl Froch's situation is different. Froch is not just speaking emotion. He is calling out consistency and action from John Fury. That is why Froch's stance feels stronger, because he is not just angry, he is challenging the narrative and demanding the fight instead of just talking about it.
Because he called me a fake and a fraud, fake hard man. I will show him how much of a fake hard man I am. He's the one that's shying away from the fight.
Johnny Nelson admits what many fans are thinking: Carl Froch brings real danger when things get heated. The expectation is clear that if this ever turns physical, Froch is the one most people believe would take control. John Fury may be generating headlines, but Froch is building a reputation of someone who actually follows through when pushed too far, and that is why this rivalry keeps escalating.
Froch. You want to watch Froch on fight, because I'm quite sure Carl's going to rip the life out of John after today. I think John did a job. John did a job and got the excitement going, got people talking. That's exactly what he did.
John, I know you.
Adam Smith is pointing out how this whole situation between Carl Froch and John Fury has slowly built up through repeated callouts and online tension. It is not just one incident, but a long-running feud that has now reached a boiling point. Carl Froch has never been the type to back away from verbal pressure, and that is why he keeps responding with confidence instead of silence. John Fury's personality is loud and emotional, but Froch brings a different kind of energy, calculated aggression backed by elite boxing experience. That contrast is exactly what makes this rivalry so explosive, because neither man is willing to lose face.
Carl having a go at the Furies probably over his time on his channel, maybe, I'm guessing, and John didn't like that and wants to have a fight with him, something like that.
It was something like that. I don't think he was still necessarily turning down a fight.
What I do know is that John Fury and Carl Froch on the cobbles will be fun. I think they both have a good.
Gareth A. Davies highlights John Fury's emotional intensity and how easily he reacts when his family or reputation is challenged. That explains why the tension with Carl Froch keeps escalating so quickly. However, the key difference is Carl Froch does not operate on pure emotion. He operates on controlled confidence built from world-level experience. That is why Froch is not stepping back from the pressure. Instead, he is matching it, which makes the situation even more unpredictable because both sides believe they are in the right and neither is willing to de-escalate.
What John does, he's very, very, very passionate around his sons when they're fighting, and it gets something out of him. I spoke to him, right, literally face to face, and I said, well, you know, what is upset? He said, I don't want people calling me out because I'll take any man on.
Yeah.
You know the comments.
Yeah.
My guy came.
Liam Goff is directly calling out John Fury's aggressive approach and questioning the consistency of his fighting reputation. That kind of narrative only strengthens Carl Froch's position in this feud. Froch has a proven world championship background, and unlike emotional callouts, his reputation is built on real elite-level fights. That is why when John Fury tries to intimidate him, Froch does not flinch. Instead, he leans into the confrontation, showing he is comfortable under pressure and confident in his ability to handle any escalation.
He went and tried to approach Carl Froch, screaming all these things at him. You know, the fighting man, you know, John Fury, 100-0 on the hard road, in spite of the fact he's been ironed out in the boxing ring plenty of times, including by non-punchers like Henry Akin one day, and it's all there for the people to see. He was going in on Carl.
Spencer Oliver is acknowledging how heated this situation has become and how it is now involving multiple big names in boxing. Even in that chaos, Carl Froch is still being viewed as the more dangerous and composed figure. That says a lot about his presence in the sport. While John Fury brings noise and confrontation, Froch brings controlled aggression and proven fighting ability, which is why many still lean towards him in any real physical or verbal confrontation.
Fury, Carl Froch, who wins that one?
Difficult one to call, that,
Really?
You got to go with the
Really?
Cobra. You got to go with the Cobra, mate.
Really?
The Cobra's dangerous. He's still in shape. 48 years of age.
John's standing over there behind you.
You got to go with John Fury. Yeah, no, it kicked off a little bit. But it wasn't only Carl Froch that he went into either, did he? He actually went into Lennox Lewis as well. He started steaming into Lennox Lewis a little bit, and I go, whoa, who wins that one?
Liam Goff explains how this rivalry has been building for a long time with multiple callouts and failed negotiations. But what stands out most is Carl Froch's willingness to actually make it happen, even suggesting a charity angle. That shows he is not just talking for attention, but is open to settling things properly. Meanwhile, John Fury keeps changing conditions and raising demands, which only increases frustration from Froch's side and keeps this feud alive in the public eye.
John Fury was doing that and goading Carl Froch, and I know John Fury doesn't like Carl Froch. Carl Froch mentions him, although I haven't really watched much of Carl Froch's videos lately. But Carl Froch, I know, has mentioned John Fury in the past. He's had a go with John Fury. They actually talked about having an actual, was it an exhibition or a boxing type match? And John Fury, the, you know, any man, any time, was saying words to the effect of, oh, I'll fight you, Carl Froch, but the money has to be right. And Carl Froch basically said, all right, well, if we arrange payment, it can go.
Joe Egan gives a very strong opinion in favor of Carl Froch and highlights his elite boxing pedigree compared to John Fury's reputation. Froch's career at world championship level gives him a level of credibility and respect that cannot be ignored. That is why even in heated verbal exchanges, Froch is seen as the more dangerous man. His experience against top-level opponents makes him confident in any confrontation, and that confidence is exactly what keeps him standing firm in this ongoing feud.
I watched Carl Froch getting knocked down by George Groves. He was gone. Carl Froch has an incredible will to win. The fights that he's had with the great champions, and he's come out of the sport intact. For John Fury to be calling out Carl Froch on his opinion, because Carl Froch is entitled to give his opinion in boxing. If you can't have freedom of speech, what was the point in these men and women dying in the world wars, giving their lives in vain?
What do you think would actually happen if John Fury and Carl Froch, as he is,
Carl Froch could stand there and say to John, I'll give you 2 free shots, John. Hit me with your right hand and hit me with your left hand. And they will.
This whole Carl Froch and John Fury situation has turned into one of the most intense boxing callouts in recent memory, where both men are refusing to back down and the tension just keeps rising every time they speak. John Fury keeps bringing emotion, money demands, and aggressive talk, while Carl Froch is responding like a former world champion who is completely confident in his ability to handle anything thrown at him. What makes this even more interesting is that Froch is not just talking for attention, he is actually pushing for the fight and standing firm under pressure, which shows the mentality of a real fighter. If this ever crosses into a real confrontation, Froch's experience, composure, and world-level pedigree would make him extremely dangerous, and many believe he would take control of the situation quickly. but at the same time John Fury's unpredictable nature means anything can happen once emotions take over. That is why fans are so divided, because this is not just about skill, it is about pride, ego, and who breaks first under pressure. At this stage, it feels like only one thing can settle it, and that is both men finally meeting face to face and proving everything they have been saying. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure you subscribe, like and comment who you think wins this heated showdown, because the debate is far from over.